Hi, you're listening to Childless and Moving Onward. This is the place where we talk about thriving in life when you're a woman who is childless, not by choice, regardless of the road that brought you to childlessness. Welcome to episode 32 of Childless and Moving Onward. I'm Gail Miller, a life coach, speaker, and physician, and your host of this podcast, where I tackle the challenges of living life as a woman who is childless not by choice in a world that expects us to be moms and judges us for not being moms. Now, I do try to do this with a tiny dash of humor, not to be disrespectful, but because this is a heavy subject and humor is helpful in these situations and certainly a little bit of relief for me. So it's meant to be a part of the healing, not being disrespectful. Now, there were the posts of photos from back to school day, photos of fall break events, Halloween costumes. It was an endless back-to-back treasure trove of reminders of what won't happen for you. Even when you've reached a point where you can navigate these triggers, the ache returns at times. Sometimes in tiny little jabs that leave a constant but maneuverable dull ache. And sometimes it washes over in huge waves of fresh pain, and it can wash over you in short bursts or long-standing swells that can leave you feeling paralyzed to function. And now you've made it through all of that. And here comes Thanksgiving. Oh, joy, right? And it should be joyful. I mean, it's Thanksgiving, right? Be thankful. But wow, when you're childless, not by choice, it can be really, really tough to feel that, to feel thankful and to find the joy of this season. And so today I'm diving into this topic. It is as stuffed with emotions as a turkey is with breadcrumbs. And that is the topic of the emotional cornucopia of Thanksgiving. It's that magical time of year when we gather and eat too much and watch football, and then certain of us are fielding questions about our reproductive choices. And those questions are from people who make it their business even though it's not. Or if people are finally done sticking their noses into those choices, finally done sticking their noses in where they don't belong, now we're facing just simply not actually being a part of Thanksgiving because, of course, the topic of conversation is always the kids. So for those of us in the Childless Not by Choice Club, it is like playing emotional bingo. But the card we're using isn't filled with numbers. It's filled with triggers. The bottom line is that this is an especially difficult time of the year, being childless. Not that the pain goes away the rest of the year. That's not what I'm saying. But Thanksgiving and then the winter holidays, and it's all like condensed, all happens in a short time period. And it's just especially challenging for anybody who's childless not by choice, because it often highlights family gatherings and traditions that feel out of reach. It's all about family and how family is traditionally defined. And I'm right there with you. Every year, it's the same thing. Thanksgiving is traditionally a family-oriented holiday, which can then intensify the feelings of loss and exclusion for people without children, because that's usually how family is defined. I mean, let's face it. My family are my dogs and my husband. But I guarantee you there will be plenty of people criticizing, that's not family. Yeah, it is. They are my family. Family doesn't have to just be two adults with children, but that is how it's traditionally defined. And so the emphasis at this time of year on the family gatherings and the multi-generational celebrations, multi-generational, and we can't contribute to the next generation. At least we can't contribute by adding to the generation. We can contribute, not in the way we'd like to. And all of that serves as a starkly painful reminder of the family life you had hoped for, but won't achieve. For many who are childless not by choice, Thanksgiving can trigger a grief attack, and it can just hit you unexpectedly. Because this holiday season highlights what we see as missing. So it all brings this renewed sense of loss, renewed reminders of the children you wished that you had to share these special moments with. And then along with the family gatherings, as I mentioned before, come the nosy questions, the hurtful comments, the barrage of helpful advice that's anything but helpful. And you know what I mean. The advice to try and then fill in the blank with the name of whichever snake oil phony cure someone heard about, or the procedure that Aunt Libby is certain will work because she knows that it worked for the second cousin of someone who works with her neighbor's granddaughter. Right? You get the picture. Or if you are beyond that point, now you've got the judgment of you didn't do enough, right? Why did you give up? All of that, all of those comments. It's just these uncomfortable questions and comments about your childless status. Mine too. And it may be for some well-meaning, but it can also inadvertently cause pain by asking about plans for children or making assumptions about life choices by someone who's not in your shoes. And then there are the reminders at Thanksgiving, because a lot of the traditions revolve around children, right? Like crafting the hand turkeys, or sometimes baking. It revolves around showing the kids how to join in and make smaller desserts of the bigger dessert. And then there's sharing what each family member is thankful for. And the conversations are almost always about the kids, what they did together, what the kids are participating in, and on and on. And then you're sitting there and it's rather lonely. I know, because I'm there with you. You can be surrounded by people at Thanksgiving, and yet you feel completely alone. You feel like a total outsider, and you can't participate in the conversation. It's a real struggle to find your place in the celebration of Thanksgiving, to find that thankful feeling. I mean, ultimately, Thanksgiving is this, or can be for many, this giant painful reminder of the life you had envisioned, but didn't turn out that way. So what do you do to survive the minefield of painful triggers? As I said earlier, I'm right there with you. Every year, it's the same thing. But it can be navigated. And for some, it can actually be something that you are able, a holiday you can find meaning in and maybe even find some joy when you're ready. It's a mindset change that takes work, and it takes being at a place where you feel ready to move forward, even with the pain, or knowing that you will be carrying that pain forward with you, but you also want to find some joy. So what do you do with all the uncomfortable feelings? Well, two things, two major categories. The first is acknowledge your feelings and allow yourself to feel them, to grieve if you need to. Allow yourself to feel what you feel. Don't judge any of your emotions. There are no good or bad feelings. Now, there are feelings that are uncomfortable, the pain, the sadness, the things we don't want to feel. But if you don't allow yourself to feel them, it only makes things worse. Those painful feelings will fester, and usually they come out in ways that aren't in alignment with how you want to live. So for me, that means if I am trying to ignore those feelings, push them away, not let myself feel them, they don't go away, but they do come out in other ways. And for me personally, that will be overspending and eating foods that bring me an immediate, instant sense of comfort. Those favorite foods, favorite comfort foods. But then I get sick from them. And it's a sick that lasts 2 to 3 days. I don't want to keep going through that. As much as I love that instant high from the macaroni and cheese or the pizza or the cheesecake, that immediate comfort turns into me being a very sick person for 2 to 3 days. And it's not worth it. So I have learned to let those feelings kind of wash over me and sit with them. But what's your way of getting that immediate comfort that then eventually turns sour? Is it drinking too much? Is it gambling? Is it eating foods that make you sick? Do you really want to keep going through that? Because if you keep trying to get away from those painful emotions instead of facing them, it's going to be an endless cycle of worsening that pain. The second category of how you deal with the feelings that come with this time of year is to connect with others who understand your experience. Support groups for others who are childless not by choice. There's lots of different online forums, including a free support group that I have, but there's lots of opportunities to meet with other women who are going through this childless pain as well. Now let's talk about how do you survive these gatherings if you decide to go without hiding in the coat closet. Or maybe that's your way of surviving, and that's okay. The first is set boundaries. It's okay to limit your time with your family, even if they're going to be there, all afternoon and all night long. Limit it. If you want to get there late and leave early, set that boundary. Or say no. You don't have to go at all. Thanks, but I'll be celebrating in a different way this year. No is a boundary, and it's a healthy one. You don't have to go. I said it, and I mean it. No one is obligated to be in situations that aren't healthy for you. But if you choose to go, then be prepared. Prepare responses. Have witty comebacks ready. When someone is, when are you having kids? Here's your comeback. Right after I finish my time machine and I go back to my 20s. Or if you are not able to have a snarky comeback or just don't feel comfortable with that. Simple, hey, that's personal. Hey, not really what I want to talk about. I want to talk about being thankful for Thanksgiving. Or how about that pumpkin pie? Can't wait to cut into that. How else can you survive this? Survive these gatherings? Find an ally. Recruit your cool cousin who always has your back and will sneak you extra wine or extra pumpkin pie or extra stuffing. And then create an exit strategy. Have a friend ready to call with an emergency if things get too intense. Gotta run. My friend needs me. Or simply plan ahead. Let them know, hey, I want to get up early tomorrow. I want to do all the shopping, partake in all those wonderful sales. So I'm getting up really early. So I have to leave. And then last but not least, this is actually my favorite. Host a Friendsgiving, a small, intimate meal with those you trust, the people you trust that you can genuinely be comfortable with. And make it what you want it to be. Tired of turkey? Make the comfort foods you want and ask everyone else to each bring a dish their favorite comfort food. There, you don't have to have a theme for the meal. Who cares if it's a smorgasbord? Or maybe that is the theme. The theme is comfort. Make it comfortable for you. Make it meaningful for you. To help with this and with the guilt over saying no to the usual family Thanksgiving meal, remind yourself why you're doing this. It's not about avoiding family. It's about honoring your needs and finding meaning, finding comfort. Family gatherings will always be there, but this is a way for you to find joy in a way that feels right for you. Again, it's okay to set boundaries. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing to have a Friendsgiving. And you are allowed to create traditions that serve you. Create this new tradition of Friendsgiving or any other one that feels right for you and that aligns with your current situation and your needs. Remember, it's okay to experience a range of emotions during this time. Be gentle with yourself. Look for support. Support that can help you navigate the challenges of this upcoming holiday season. That's all for today's episode, and I'll be back with you next week. Thanks for listening to Childless and Moving Onward. I hope this episode was helpful to you. If you liked what you heard, you can get more help from me with my guide, Steps to Overcome Self-Doubt and Feel Worthy When Being Childless Isn't by Choice. Click on the link in the episode notes, or you can find it on my website, pathonward.com. Until next week, thanks again for listening.